Current events, madness overload. Greetings and salutations, co-inhabitants of planet Dirt. It is I, the incorrigible Mr. Zappo. With my ever-silent animatronic sidekick, DJ Zed. And, is it me, or is it just a buttload of crazy today? Or is that just what it's like every day here? Perhaps. Let me give you a quick roundup. The list of current events that are slightly driving me a little batshit crazy today includes, but is not limited to, the following. Tax day disclosures, historical revisionist whitewashing, bamboo ballot failure, alien disclosure, kinda, maybe, sorta, not really, flat earther resurgence, second coming of Trump postponed again, a DOD investigation into the Pentagon's handling of reports of UFPs. UFP, unidentified flying phenomena. It's today's new UFO. Oh, we're not even done with the list yet. There's escalating Middle East religious race political war, GOP sex scandal plea deals, companies called cyber ninjas. Just that alone, just the word, cyber ninja. Oh, and they've totally stalled out. The Weisselberg and fam cooperating with investigators. Lost and found Bengal tiger turned in to Texas authorities. And my favorite, secret Florida official meetings in preparations for an eventual Trump extradition. And of course, last but not least, friends, the Supreme Court finally begins its long-awaited work to make The Handmaid's Tale our actual, everyday, real-life reality. Mondays. Ooh, am I right? Welcome to this Monday's Late Night Thoughts. It is Monday, May 17th, and that list, I shit you not, I compiled just this afternoon. Each and every one of those things represents something that's apparently, supposedly, really going on out there in the world. Let's go back and revisit some of these. In a curious turn of events, the tyrannical, absent-minded Joe Biden and his delightful doctor wife have, dun-dun-dun, disclosed their income tax papers. All the usual nonsense that is traditionally disclosed. And all the usual fluff pieces about what we learned from reviewing Joe Biden's tax returns. And I don't know, I didn't dig deep. I was just, isn't that cute? They're reveling in some shape, some form, some icon of look, we're returning to normalcy. Don't let them fool you, folks. Nothing was ever normal. Still, given that for the entire time that Trump was play acting at politics, he perpetuated the most ridiculously, easily debunkable lie that his tax information could not be released because he was perpetually under audit. Now, it is not easy to find out who specifically is and is not under audit. What's easy to debunk about that bullshittery that he peddled the entirety of the time that he was in public political life is that even if your shit is under audit, when you get elected president, you can still release it because you're the president. So he was lying to us all, most specifically the base, lying a lie that, I don't know, I think made him feel edgy. It made him feel cooler than he really is. My taxes are under... I can't do a impression. It's too late anyways. He's not around anymore, right? But it's adorable that, you know, the rest of the world is sort of going, how nice that, you know, he did, you know, the new president and first lady did release their tax information, and there's nothing weird and creepy and involving, you know, Russian mob and bankrupt casinos, which is what's all over the fuck Trump's taxes, obviously, or something to that effect. I don't know, and I don't mean to cast aspersions. I'm venturing a sardonic, comedic, satirical guess that the reason he peddled that nonsense for so long was that he did not want anyone to see whatever horrors could be, you know, pulled out of his income tax information. Anyways, moving on, the GOP is proving, and I was going to talk about this in detail in a Good Morning Trumptopia episode, but here we are. It's the middle of the 9 o'clock hour. It's not quite that super late at night, but for me it feels like it because I woke up at 3 a.m. I should probably already be in bed instead of trying to do a podcast episode. But choices were made. Here we are. The GOP is trying to best its own nefarious standard. It's trying to like blow its own record out of the water for whitewashing and trying to retroactively revise history in order to not have to deal with their own bullshit. This just irks me because the audacity of these GOP senators to, in a hearing, bold-facedly bullshit themselves, each other, and the American people. Now, I can't blame the addicts, the junkies at home that need ever-increasing doses of that Trumptopian bullshit. As somebody on Facebook, I think it was, maybe it was another platform, I don't remember, it all blurs together after a few minutes. As somebody in my social media circle, this is, excuse me, put it, America has, and I'm butchering it, right? So forgive me for the terrible paraphrasing, dear friend, whoever you are. But Americans love bullshit barked out with confidence. They will believe that monkeys can fly and wrote all the plays of Shakespeare if Trump says it to them with enough bluster and that je ne sais quoi of orange, cringy, trailing off, jibber-jabber Trump talk that he does. But yeah, the whitewashing of the events of January 6th were egregious, and the base is, of course, lapping it up and enjoying the shit out of it, instead of confronting the fact that their own friends and family members and their own kin, their own kind, their own political, ideological, party compatriots were tricked into breaking into the Capitol building to commit vandalism ranging from, stealing shit to pissing and shitting in the hallways. Like, I don't even know what. Who does that? Like, severely disturbed junior high rebels without a clue go and shit and piss in the hallways of perceived enemies and break a few podiums and scream and shout nonsensical slogans that don't even make sense, all in the name of Jesus. And then turn around and immediately begin to say, oh, it was somebody else that did it. It wasn't us. It wasn't our people. It was all these other people. And now they're just smothering all that over with, nothing even really happened. It was just a bunch of tourists visiting like normal. They got a little rowdy. It's obscene and beyond childish. And that full-grown adults are lowering themselves to placate a snowflake of an orange spray tanned business failure. And I'm not saying that with hate. Those are just facts. He's a snowflake. He gets all wishy-washy and whiny in the very definition of snowflakey behavior. Just listen to his rallies. And then he, has to badmouth everyone and their fucking mother like some sort of, I don't know what. I don't want to smear the good name of assholes and other jerkwads in the world. Because this guy just, has taken everything to the new depths. Beyond that, they cannot seem in Arizona to find the mysterious North Korean bamboo ballots. Of course not. I think that either North Korea or China, if they were, and I'm going to take a big leap and go, this is a huge, chunky rock of salt, what if, kind of, I'm going to just, humor the argument. Because I categorically see the debunking of this pretty clearly. In terms of, like, the lack of evidence and all that. But if China and or North Korea and or whoever the fuck other Asian country, insert the, realization that whole thing is mildly racist of them to be doing, were to make fake ballots, I don't think they'd be so stupid as to make them out of bamboo, because they would know, I would give them the benefit of the doubt, since they have a sophisticated network of infiltrated spies that can just roll up to the Maricopa County polling place and drop off these ballots without any one stopping them and going, who the fuck are you and where'd you come with these ballots? Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat today. But, if they have that sophisticated level of embedded espionage network, I think they'd know better what was in the paper of the ballots, and they would not have made them out of bamboo, you racist twats. Sorry, I don't usually like resorting to name calling, but this whole, we're searching for bamboo ballots because clearly the Chinese, that's just Asian hate, and it chaps my hide. Because as a Mexican, I deeply identify with Asian people. And that kind of racist, that's kind of self-denying, it's not racist, but kind of commentary is profoundly irritating. And that grown people still try to excuse it. It's like, what are you, 12? What else were we going to talk about? So the bamboo ballots, complete and total failure. No bamboo ballots were found, folks. What else? Alien disclosure, maybe, sorta, kinda, maybe not so much. I put up a really, I think, cutting, just ribbons to shreds post on the social medias about this alien thing. Mind you, I am not even going to comment on my actual real life opinion about whether or not the truth is out there and whether or not aliens could or would visit. Where is this thing I posted about aliens? It's not, is it before? No, that's the other one. That's another good one about the echo chambers. But where's the aliens one? Come on. Here we go. I'm going to read this to you guys because I just killed myself silly when I read it later. I wrote it, I posted it, kind of forgot about it, turned around, read it again, and it kills me. Because this is funny because it's true. And I say this with love. We know when I pick on anybody, when I call someone out, I do it with love and with the hope that they'll go, oh wow, I do sound ridiculous. Maybe I should really question things. But the conspiracy theorist mob, in that style of meme that's like person and the thing they said. Conspiracy theorist mob, quote, never, all caps, believe the government. They should never be trusted about anything. And then, Pentagon releases grainy, murky, indecipherable footage of who knows what exactly, without any real context. Conspiracy theory mob. You must, all caps, believe the government. They're telling you the all caps truth about UFOs. And also the conspiracy theory mob. Meh, it's just Project Bluebeam, man. Aliens are fake news, false flags. Actual aliens. Pick a lane, bro. This is why we don't actually come visit you. So not only did the Pentagon release these ridiculous videos, first of all, I'm not trying to disparage, and there were new interviews with jet fighter pilots saying, we saw weird things. I'm not trying to disparage them. I just think that the videos are kind of ridiculous because they're not very clear. You can't actually see what these things are. They're just grainy, gray on gray, staticky images with some kind of blurry dot in the middle that's moving around. I've seen CGI like that made by junior high kids. I mean, Tron looked better. Okay? It looked more believable. The original Tron. I'm not even talking about Daft Punk Disney Tron. I'm talking about the old school, it was still Disney, but the old school original Tron. That CGI was total crap. Okay, and that stuff looked more believable than, I don't know. And like I said, I'm not even going to tell you what I actually think about whether or not aliens are here or not. I'm just saying, these videos, I don't know that I'm going to immediately jump to some conclusions about what is or is not in those videos. The interviews with the fighter pilots, I get it. Like, I've seen weird shit in the sky. I'm not saying I haven't, because I'm not a denier. That's a funny thing. UFO believers almost always jump to the incorrect assumption that I'm a UFO denier. UFO deniers almost always jump to the incorrect conclusion that I am a UFO blind faith believer. Put a pin in that, my friends. Come back to it in a hot second. So, where were we? Oh, right. Not only did that happen, but it turns out the Department of Defense is actually going to invest, the Department of Defense is conducting an investigation into how the Pentagon has, in the recent and not so recent past, handled the reporting of what they are calling unidentified flying phenomena. I guess trying to distance themselves from using UFOs so they don't... All of this stuff, all of this, no one has said it's aliens. All the conspiracy theorists have been and will be jumping to the conclusion that the government is admitting that it's aliens. Technically, they're not. Now, or at least not yet. They are teasing the living shit out of this report that's supposed to come out next month, which one really high-ranking former general, I forget his name, but I caught this right as I was wrapping up my news scan the last round. I forget his name, but I can assure you this guy was a real general, and he was sharing his honest opinion about what he expects to come out of the public version of the report next month. And he says it's going to be full of vagaries and redactions, and people are going to pull out of it whatever they want to pull out of it and say whatever they want to say about it. I'm paraphrasing, but his point was the report's not going to answer any real questions, and everybody on all sides is going to jump to their own conclusions. Because that's how they always do things, right? So, coming back to the list, there is yet again a kind of new, like, seventh wave of flat earther resurgence. Because there seems to be this general building up of self-congratulatory conspiracy theory exaltation of, see you guys, we were right all along. And I'm not really sure where they're getting it because, like, none of Trump's promises came true, right? And I don't know, like, we didn't get an alien invasion last year. No one has turned into a cyborg zombie from either the testing or the vaccines as of yet. Most of the crazy things that conspiracy theorist predictions entail haven't actually come true. But some of the general themes of conspiracy theory have become popular cultural themes, which I think is where they're getting this self-congratulatory vibe from. But the other thing that happens, curiously, in conspiracy theory, because conspiracy theorists will jump to the conclusion that I'm a sheeple denier, that I won't ever consider conspiracy theory. I'm too intellectually incapable of understanding conspiracy theory, which is the furthest thing from the fucking truth. I was once, as I have said repeatedly on this show, which, curiously enough, the conspiracy theorists never want to fucking listen to, because, they know that I'm wrong somehow, magically. I don't even know that I'm right, you guys. I don't pretend to be 100% dead fucking certain that I'm right about everything. But everyone who tells me that I'm wrong sure as fuck sounds like they think they are, which is an interesting thing. And I'm like, hey, if you're going to call me a liar, and when I'm not lying, I'm sure as fuck going to call you out on your shenanigans when you're shenaniganing the fuck out of some shenanigans. Okay? Alright, so there's this next level resurgence of flat earther activism. And all I gotta say to the flat earthers is, flat earth, globe earth is one of the oldest, and you can just look back through history, don't take my word for it, do some fucking research, Mr. I do my own research, which usually ends up being mostly YouTube videos or podcasts or somebody's blog. Do some actual historical research and go outside of your comfort zone in your 3 favorite websites, and you'll see that the intractable and seemingly unsolvable argument between globe earthers and flat earthers has been going on for centuries, going way back to ye olde ancient Darko days when the Roman Catholic Church was the mega empire of the world and would kill people for questioning the flat earth model in the Bible. If your shit is true, why you gotta kill people when they go, but it doesn't kind of add up so much over here with this idea and this detail, and math, the math doesn't jive with your model. Kill them. Kill them. That's not a winning argument for you or the herald of truth there, my friends. And the fact that kids today are like mindlessly regurgitating and pretending that they are somehow personally proving the arguments that were tired hat when I was 9 years old. And like they're always like, you don't understand the flat earth model. I'm like, bro, you weren't born when I was reciting the flat earth model to people. Because yes, I was once a flat earther. Kind of one of the reasons I am a really outspoken, hey, it's all part of a wedge issue dynamic where you're just both being fed snippets of some things that are kind of true and then mixed together with a bunch of other nonsense that aren't true so that you both have some truth and some bullshit and you just fight about it intractably, unsolvably, which keeps you distracted on a treadmill of distraction, because that's how echo chamber psyop wedge issues work. I couldn't have gotten there, I don't think, if I hadn't have actually lived for a good solid 5 years of my life believing hardcore Bible thumping about flat earth. Until, someone said, have you actually questioned all that? And have you actually given the other side as much patient thought as you demand them to give you with your talking points? And I realized that I had actually only been regurgitating other people's talking points and not actually thinking the shit through, comparing and contrasting the two models. Once you start comparing and contrasting the two models, you start wondering if maybe there are even better models out there because they both have really weird flaws in common. But I digress. It makes me sad to see young kids jumping on that flat earther bandwagon, but it's happening, so be vigilant. The flat earthers are coming for your offspring to try to indoctrinate them under you, out from under you. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, yeah. Trump continues to secretly be in charge of everything in the government, but, for some reason, inexplicably, not doing anything Trumpy and letting Biden, totally succeed with his evil, tyrannical blue agenda of what is radically not socialism. Seriously, socialists are disappointed. I'm not a socialist, but the actual socialists who are like, okay, bring the crazy left socialism, are like, what the fuck is this bullshit? This isn't socialism. There's a really great Bernie meme. Bernie doing the mittens in a chair, sitting pose in the brainwashing bedroom chamber of the Big Brother movie. And he's saying to the dude who's hiding from the Big Brother screen, he's like, this isn't real socialism, right? And that meme cuts both ways, mofos. All right. So, all those things are going on. And, escalating, organized murder for profit in a rough and tumble, let's just lob some bombs at each other kind of way over in the Middle East. This sort of ideologically driven, don't question us or else you're a racist. Where does that sound familiar from? Don't question anything of my shit or else you're the racist. This kind of ethno-religious, socio-political race war genocide that's going on, that we see escalating, that dear old blue tyrant Biden was really squishy on. Where is the bold-faced, brash, tough-talking, I'm going to tell the bad guys what to not be doing? That's not a very good Biden impression. But, first of all, the deliciously stupid part about this. Okay, let me clarify some things. I will tell you some personal opinions about this. It's sad to see that America is kind of, tearing itself apart along the lines of you can only stand by Israel or you can only stand by Palestine. That's a false dichotomy, folks. How's about we all stand together and end organized murder for profit by anyone against anyone else? That's where I stand. What the fuck are the rest of you guys doing? Clowning around, pretending that one side or the other has a right to be doing any of it, okay? Because they both sides have flaws, and the victims are the civilian bystanders, right? Let's be clear. It's the Israeli government and whatever the fuck Hamas is. I don't even want to label them, right? Because whatever the fuck the Israeli government is, they're the ones murdering people. And guess what? As one of my oldest, most ignored on the internet memes, personal favorite of mine, is deliciously good at pointing out to people visually and in blunt, bold text. It does not fucking matter what government or which god, made up or real, you do your killing for or in the name of. It's the system of oppression and the military-industrial complex that owns all of the weapons manufacturers that does the profiteering. So we can tear each other apart and get. This is what it's taking me off, right? Like, yeah, Palestine's getting the short end of the stick, but you know, Hamas is kind of a jerkwad, and they treat their own people like shit. So why are they in charge? And sure, any sovereign nation has the right to defend itself, but when you rip the land out from under another group of people, vilify them, marginalize them, abuse them, and put them in what someone today called quite beautifully, stingingly, brutally, a stinking, rotting, open-air prison, it's not really self-defense anymore. Someone else put it really interestingly on the internet. It's a meme that's trending, and I'm going to butcher it because I don't have it in front of me. But it reads something to the effect of, a kid with a rock threw a stone at me, so I jumped in my jet fighter and, air bombed his entire neighborhood. I'm sure you'll agree with me, that was self-defense. So that's going on. And the two other egregiously horrific, never-ending civil wars over in Yemen and, I always forget one of the two countries. Forgive me, other country. It's not that I don't care. It's that I have a terrible memory and I never write this shit down. That's all continuing, right? Without much hubbub. Because, that's just this never-ending civil war. We're not involved. And Myanmar. Buddhists killing Muslim Rohingyas. That one really chaps my hide, folks. As a non-denominational, transcendental, metaphysical, entheogenic Zen Buddhist Christian, I'm used to Christians. I still I don't like to call myself a Christian out loud in Trumptopia, because everyone then assumes I'm that kind of Christian, the kind of Christian that thinks a fat, orange, lecherous, cheating, pathological liar is the second coming of Jesus. And I'm totally not that kind of Christian. I'm the kind of Christian that realizes Yeshua Christos was probably more than one person, in as much as that this story probably repeated itself a few times in real life, and that whoever we point to with the name Jesus Christ was sure as fuck not blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and white-skinned. Because he was born in Bethlehem, and guess where Bethlehem is, folks? Dun, dun, dun! Modern-day Palestine. Whatever the fuck it was called back then, who gives a shit? By today's standards, if Jesus were to literally come back in the same body he had back then, he wouldn't even make it in the door. He'd be sitting in Mexico with all the refugees and illegal immigrants that the Christians here hate and want to kill. And as I've said this before and I'll say it again. That kind of intractable ethno-political, religious, ideological race war, they want that everywhere, folks. They want that everywhere. That's why there's infinite amounts of intractable, engineered wedge issues, like Flat Earth versus Globe Earth. Please see my meme in the shape of a butt plug about how they're fucking you with the us versus them brainwashing. So where were we? All kinds of other things are going out, right? Isn't it hilarious that the party of family values that is foaming at the mouth to accuse everyone else on the planet of being a pedophile and a Satanist is usually the party that has the most closeted, homoerotic, auto asphyxiation incidences and sex trafficking scandals. I don't even want to touch this scandal, but I think it's telling that there's like this eminent silence coming from everyone except the two dudes that are being investigated. And whoever rented that Skyplane banner that read TikTok, whatever the fuck his name is, what is that guy's name? I wasn't going to talk about it now, but I remembered the TikTok. They should have splurged, in my humble opinion, for the extra TikTok. Because, it should be TikTok, your name here, TikTok. But I digress. That was a ballsy maneuver. I mean, let's give a little innocent until proven guilty, please. Come on. But wow. To shell out the cash to have an airplane guy fly one of those letter banner things over the courtroom while the plea agreement hearing is going on. Mind-blowing. That's where we are today. That's normal in post-Trumpopian America. That someone did that, right? And that case is going down. Other things in my list, the Cyber Ninjas stalled out because the secure... I already talked about this on the show. It's ridiculous. Or have I talked about this on the show, or did I was just narrating a long note to myself about it for social media posting? It's absurd to me that their recount is going as slowly as it's going. Every shot I've seen from their special, in the room camera that's supposed to prove their transparency, there's one person sitting at a desk and 7 empty desks and a really empty room. I don't get it. I mean, do they only turn on the camera when it's their smoke break? WTF, Cyber Ninjas. Also, WTF with the blue pens. That's a bipartisan no-no. Everyone agrees you don't handle authentic, secured voting materials because that's your fucking civic life right there. And you don't even bring blue ink pens in the room. Why do they not give a fuck? I wonder. Because they were spouting biased as fuck, completely made up, pro-Trump, pro-stop the steal propaganda before they got the gig. I remember someone recently posted that the claim, which I don't think is technically correct, that the federal government doesn't have jurisdiction when it comes to Maricopa County and the election process. Now, it's the gloriously insane genius bit of American voting. Instead of one uniform federal system that is well regulated and well organized and ensures a ubiquitous, uniform, secure, and fair, unbiased access to all voters who are allowed to vote, to all legally eligible voters. And I love how the GOP loves to use that phrasing. They use it as a dog whistle to infer or imply or just lay the open sandpit of you can fall into your own assumptions that the people who are illegitimate voters are all minorities and that the only legitimate voters are, us good old boys, whatever that means. But, just the sheer, redonkulousness. Oh, yeah. They said, I don't know who's posted this, but there was a post somewhere on social media that said the federal government doesn't have jurisdiction over Maricopa County's election process. And my retort was, and the Florida fly-by-night made-up-out-of-nowhere LLC Corp named Cyber Ninjas does? Get the fuck out of here. That corporation has that completely ridiculous sounding corporation, and I know it's just a name, whatever. They have zero legitimate track record doing anything that has anything to do with election protocol. That's a fact. Whatever kind of cybersecurity they provided, it had nothing ever once in their brief history to do with actual elections, to the best of my understanding. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize. But I believe that's true. So they got stalled out because the room that they had secured to do this super important, super not phony recount was double booked for a high school prom. And in order to make room for the high school prom, they hastily packed up all of the ballots and hustled them down the street to an open-air storage shed next to the fucking state fair that had no doors to it, and also, housed, that same building was where the state fair had all its porta potties. Yeah, that's some trustworthy shenanigans right there. I'm really gonna trust whatever the fuck bullshit thing they decide to declare at the end of their prolonged, fake as fuck recount. You know who I trust in this regard? Call me a statist. I'm not. I seriously am not. I just, after a lifetime of observing, have found where the evidence is for the actual corruption and where the evidence is for basic fundamental facts of this isn't what the conspiracy theorists say it is. I trust the bipartisan, and this is something you don't hear me say very much. Never mind the Democrats. I trust the Republican election officials, the local, bipartisan, but especially the Republican officials locally, the ones that were properly elected into office according to whatever local rigmarole process they get put into office to run the elections. Because despite the fact that it's a 50 different system, as I was beginning to swing the bat on that criticism, the genius of it is that as crazy and as disorganized and as chaotic as it is, it makes it that much harder to fuck with. And if there's anything I've observed consistently, is that the real life incidents of voter fraud are indeed relatively negligible and generally comedically, ironically, in favor almost always of the Republican Party. That's a fact. In fact, somebody was sharing some verifiable statistical numbers that in a 15-year period recently, which I think, and forgive me if I'm not exactly dead on the years, but I think that from 2000 to 2015, there was some 100 million ballots cast in different elections. Not one big election, but in all the different elections that happened, it was either 1 billion or 100 million. It was a really ridiculously large number of votes, individual ballots that were cast in various elections in these great old 50 United States of ours. In that 15-year period, out of that multiple millions of votes counted, a grand total of verified fraudulent ballots was 30. That's it. Full stop. 30. 30. And the majority of them, I don't know the exact number, but the majority of them were for Republican candidates. Those are facts. I'm sure the Trump base does not want to hear them and will not bother to verify them, but I throw the gauntlet down. Go do some fucking research. Yes, there's shenanigans and there's weird things that go on. But when the beleaguered and clearly impassioned Republican dude that runs the elections in Maricopa County says, please stop lying about me. This is fucking crazy. Please stop lying about me. I didn't do the crazy shit you're all pretending that I did. I think I'm going to believe that guy. Especially when I see his face, right? I can see his passion and his earnestness there was some kind of hearing today, right? And the Q echo chamber is rejecting the headline and calling it media lies and talking, and fake news bullshit. But there's footage. There's video footage of their testimony, and the Republicans from Maricopa County, the local Republicans, are like, this is insane. All of these claims that the federal level party is throwing around about what supposedly happened here are not true. And the sad part is, all of these lies are being perpetuated out of the sociopathic impulse of pledging loyalty to one buffoon of a politician. And as I like to remind my dear old brothers and sisters that are trapped over there in that cult of personality, I don't care how you try to explain it. The reality is that pledging allegiance to one man is not what America is trying to be, was supposed to be. The founding fathers would have tarred and feathered you. They like to pat themselves on the back, say they're standing up for the ideals of the founding fathers. I, as an outside observer, as someone who walked into this country and went, wow, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful, glorious dumpster fire of excessiveness, greed, and lots of other cool things that are less toxic than that, but mostly toxic shit that's super hype. I invested in a detached observation of the history of this country. And let me tell you, I know that the Tea Party and the sort of Q phenomena that evolved out of that and the Trump base, I like to call them the QT base because then they just sound so adorable. The QT base likes to wrap themselves up in the paraphernalia of the founding fathers, but I'm fairly certain that just like the what if question of what if Jesus were to fucking show the fuck up right here, right now, if the founding fathers rolled up on this party they would tar and feather Donald Trump and any other sycophant that has pledged personal loyalty to him as an ideologue instead of to the country and the greater good of all its citizens. Because that's what people died for. If you're going to take pride in the organized murder for profit that is riddled throughout the history of this country, which, you know, we should put a pin in that because that's something we really need to question. Why do we take so much pride in that? Why the pride? You know, isn't pride a fucking sin in the Bible? But I digress. If we're going to be that country, then let's honor what our patriots sacrificed their lives for, which was pledging allegiance to each other as citizens and neighbors and community members of this 50 country nation state. Because every state is like a little tiny country in and of itself with its idiosyncrasies and its own economy and its own obsessive compulsive behaviors and its own culture and its own idiosyncratic demands on everybody else. The founding fathers are rolling over in their graves with everybody pledging allegiance to a orange spray tanned golf club owner that used American tax dollars to pay his own golf clubs in violation of a number of different laws in this country to put up himself and the Secret Service. You know, the last president that did that was Richard Nixon. I mean, he didn't know golf clubs, but he funneled tax dollars through the Secret Service by making them do things like redecorate his house and build his neighbor in the Florida Keys a sauna. I'm not making that up, folks. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. But there's hope. There is hope. That's why one of the things I'm super excited about, and I said this, I called this at the very beginning, Allen Weisselberg will be the undoing of him. And all of the circumstantial evidence and sort of speculative reporting indicates pretty strongly, I hope to God I'm not incorrect about this. If I am, tough titty, right? Why do we say that? I don't know. It's got something to do with famine, if you think about it. Which doesn't make any sense, but I digress. All the evidence seems to indicate that Mr. Weisselberg and some of his family members are cooperating with investigators in one and or more criminal investigations into Donald Trump, which is fun and neat and exciting. Not that I have an unrealistic expectation that Donald Trump will actually ever serve any time. Because, I mean, think about it. One of the points I hammered home to the Trump base in hopes that it would open their eyes and help them realize in the very, very early days, like day one, he did not lock Hillary Clinton up. Why? Because if you would just do a little bit of fucking research, you would realize that Donald Trump used to be a Democrat and is actually close, chummy friends with the Clintons. And all of it is play acting. Ugh. The fact that that evidence is just sitting all right there, it's all public information. You don't have to go to a conspiracy theory website to find this shit. And you can vet it by checking multiple sources. Now, if you think every single other source except your three personal favorite conspiracy theory sources are all fake news, that's a sign that you've been hijacked psychologically. Because statistically speaking, that's so improbable as to be laughable. Yes, there's corruption everywhere, folks. I'm not in denial. There is a conspiracy. There is a system of oppression. They just control the opposition really well. And that's what I'm trying to call out. And for my efforts, I get virtually pissed in the face. That sounds like a British thing, meaning getting drunk. That's not what I'm saying. I get virtually spat on in the face by the people who don't want to hear me calling out how the echo chamber works in a sort of psychological pincer maneuver from all directions, squeezing in towards conflict and violence. So, I don't know. I hope that my read on the role that Donald Trump is playing as a puppet of fomenting extremism includes him getting arrested, right? I'm not going to get too weepy and celebratory if and when it happens, because I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen, just like I was not surprised when Clinton did not get locked up on the first day, on the 10th day, on the 100th day, on the second year, third year, or fourth year, or now, has yet to be locked up, despite whatever nonsensical goalpost shifting promises from the Q psyop everyone's still clinging to. I do see, so like if he doesn't get arrested, not surprised. Just like he did not get indicted or he did not get successfully impeached either time. I mean, he did get impeached. He didn't get convicted of the impeachment. It's a double whammy. Forever and forever, he must wear the red eye of he got impeached twice. You can't deny it. And those were not fucking acquittals. There is no acquittal in impeachment. You either get convicted or you don't. There's no his name was cleared. Not acquittal, that's not the right word. Acquittal is the right word. He wasn't, what's the thing that Trump would say? It was 100% vindication. There was no vindication there. Read the fucking Mueller report. I digress. The fact that the Weiselbergs and Michael, what's his name? Not Michael Bolton. Michael Cohen and this new guy, the tax collector from Florida. The fact that people are cutting deals, have cut deals, and are collaborating or cooperating with these deeply ongoing investigations into Donald Trump's potential criminal activity gives me hope that, indeed, the wise and crafty system of oppression that controls opposition, right? It isn't controlled opposition if you don't control all sides, my friends. And that includes the conspiracy theory content. It has always been my speculative, theoretical thinking that the role dear old Donnie was asked to play was that of exactly what he was. Chaos, China in a China bowl? A bull in a China shop. Not trying to invoke China the government, but, the delicate plateware. We really should have a different name for that, right? Because that's racist to call China China. It's not even, is it racist? I don't know. Is it cultural appropriation? I don't know. Oh yeah, there's that. I should have put that on my list. There's this whiplash, white guilt. Oh God, everything is cultural appropriation. Let's just disband everything we've ever appropriated. That gets toxic and really weirdly self-righteously, self-controllingly oppressive. That isn't the answer, you guys. Canceling everything just because you are willing to acknowledge there's horrible things in your cultural past. You don't jump to the opposite extreme. Yo, come on. And that's what's driving me nuts about this Monday. If there's anything that this Monday has driven home with some insane clarity. Oh, wow. I've been rambling for a bit and I haven't played any other music. Blah, 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 blah. Is that everybody is being pushed deeper into extremes of intractable ideological opposition. Everything's an extreme position now. The centrists are getting extremist, which shouldn't be, right? Okay, so thank God that tiger was turned in. It's kind of ridiculous that there will be no investigation and no charges brought. I think that's sad. Apparently, they're not interested in fining the people that owned. That should be illegal. Don't own wild animals, because they might decide to eat you one day, and that's just not a good look. Didn't everybody watch fucking Tiger King? I didn't, but I didn't need to because everyone spoilered the shit out of it. So I know exactly what happens without having to watch a goddamn moment of it, right? Animals like that should be in the wild. And if that's not possible because we're destroying the living womb that gives birth to us in order to make money on dumb bullshit things we don't need, then at least they should be in some kind of natural preserve that attempts to recreate their natural environment. For God's sake, tigers shouldn't be in people's backyards. So, right, to come full circle, because I can't not talk about this, there's very clear reporting that there have been some very real and not so secret meetings between various levels of government in Florida, including, I think, representatives from Governor DeSantis' office, in which they focused on the subject of what will we do if and when the seemingly inevitable extradition request comes in for Donald Trump. Now, I really encourage everyone to turn to their favorite Trump Q believer and ask them as kindly, as compassionately as possible, if Donald Trump seriously is still secretly in power, why is Florida preparing to arrange for or fight against his extradition from Florida for criminal liability in other states? Would that be happening if he was secretly in charge? Really? If he was really still the president? I don't think that would be happening. I think if he was secretly still the president and he was still in control, as some people actually believe, despite the fact that he is doing nothing, he's supposedly doing that so that he can gotcha the evil leftist socialist democratic regime at just the right moment and then come gloriously back, having never really left power. I'm sorry, you guys. Would they be getting ready to fight his extradition from Florida and or decide if they just go ahead and let him get extradited? That's what the meetings seemed to have been about. I don't know. I'll leave it to you to decide, friends. And this last thing with the Supreme Court, folks, it's not good when science fiction, dystopian science fiction, starts seeming like our real life reality. And no, that doesn't mean the conspiracy theorists were right. First of all, everybody, hey, conspiracy theory fam, I love you guys. You're my fellow human beings. I'm just tragically sad that you buy into this bullshit and you let it infiltrate your ego to the point where you are patting yourself personally on the back for winning the fight or exposing the bad guys or proving this and that. You didn't do that. You just regurgitated someone else's content that you gave your blind faith to because you like to blind faith believe things. That's how conspiracy theory content works. No one that is like, I believe in this conspiracy theory content has ever been like, and here's my personal log of the actual, interviews I've conducted with people in the field of relevant, knowledge or expertise and that might have been there. No. Research is done in the field, talking to the people involved with the events in question. If you're just reading some douchebag's book, and huzzah, that's the American way. He wrote a book, they're allowed to sell it. Whatever the douchebag was, they wrote a book, they're allowed to sell it. Free speech. But if you're just reading someone's book or just watching someone's YouTube video or blog or whatever, if you're consuming someone else's content and then regurgitating the talking points, you really haven't done anything. I don't think. And everyone's like, but critical thinking and questioning. But if you then turn around and refuse to allow anyone else to critically analyze that content, did you really critically think through it yourself? If your knee-jerk response to any questioning of it is shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're talking about, or you're a crazy socialist, you're just proving yourself, incorrect about your willingness to do critical exchange of thinking of stuff, I think. And right, so, this is my beef with the left. Hey, left, how come you keep letting the world turn into the dystopia that the right fearmongers about? You say you're fighting them, but we're about to live out The Handmaid's Tale. I don't think you've been doing enough actual things that matter, as opposed to, I did a whole episode about why politics is about fighting, but here's something I don't know that I actually articulated in that episode. When people say that they are fighting, most of the time, like politicians, let me be clear, when politicians tell you, the people, the base, that they're fighting for you, the little guys, most of the time, what they literally are doing is meaningless verbal jousting. They're not actually taking any real policy stance. They're just verbally jousting about culture, war, ideological talking points. I'm going to leave you with this, folks. Today was a fucked up Monday, and all of this shit was in the shitstorm of current events being discussed, analyzed, and peddled both on social media and on the news media and all the medias in between. And, oh, right, where was I going to go? I'm going to close with with a thought. You know what people can, whatever side of the aisle you're on, because I don't care, right? In a healthy democracy, in a real healthy, authentic democracy, you want more than one party, right? You want more than two parties with differing policy agendas, and the best policy should get the votes. That's meaningful civic action, right? As I've talked about in this show, there's an ever increasingly missing amount, less and less civic action and more blowhard, mouth-flapping verbal jousting. Now, I love me a good discussion, right? I just went off about public discourse. I'm not pissing down the throat of public discourse. I'm saying what politicians do nowadays doesn't even fucking qualify as that to me anymore. What was the last thing I want to leave you with? If you too are frustrated and annoyed, guess what? There's something you can do. You can contact your representatives. What? Engage in the democratic process beyond sitting in line to vote once every 4 years? Yeah. And there's that's not the link I wanted. Darn it, somewhere in here in my recent clipboard of things I've pasted, there's a link, and I'm trying to just bust it out. It's a link to an app. I guess I don't have it up anymore. It's not captured in here anymore. Now I gotta go look in the other place. Where's the other thing? Over here. Everybody get this app. Everybody use... Oh, I know. It's over here. I have it installed. I have this app. And it's here so that I can talk about it. I never talk about it. There's other apps like this. But there's an app in the Android, and I think it's also in the iPhone marketplace, and it's called Capital Call. And it's like 2 clicks and you're leaving a message. Do it. Phone bomb them. Whatever your point of view is. Right? But realize that the whole point of politics is to build consensus. And wow, how many people actually understand what that fucking term even means these days? We are supposed to be building consensus, identifying critical issues that must be addressed. Oh, I don't know, like the bridges falling apart everywhere because Donald Trump promised Infrastructure Week and then delivered diddly squat. And guess what? While he's an easy target on that front, the last 11 presidents have only sort of done bullshitty half-ass measures on actual infrastructure overhaul. Because we need to attend to our gloriously crumbling infrastructure that's in some places over 100 years old and hasn't been thoroughly vetted and tested and refurbished and replaced sufficiently in that 100 years time. So get on that app, get on the phone, get on your email, get involved, folks, because the midterms are coming, right? And tragically, historical record indicates that the winning party loses their first midterms. And sometimes does okay if they get a second term and they have a second midterm election. I'm not a blind faith leftist. I'm not a statist. I'm not a conspiracy theory zealot either, because I see evidence of ego corruption in all of them. While everybody's arguing about which group of elite this and that's, who's and whatevers are responsible for all the egregious stupidity and incompetence and corruption in the world, some of us are over here saying it's a species-wide problem. You can't kill all the bad guys and think that will solve the species-wide spiritual problem. You can't keep fighting each other in these relentlessly stupid echo chambers either. No offense, I love everybody. I'm not judging. I'm throwing down some salty language to rattle some cages and go, why are you doing this? When we could be communing directly with the living holographic reality that is an extension of our own fucking magical selves. Because, no, friends, oh yeah, I forgot to add in that, the AI matrix theory is also just running rampant there amongst all the chaos. What Trump did was just make conspiracy theory, masturbatory, self-congratulatory bullshit popular. Yes, there is a conspiracy to keep power over the system of systems that is, generally speaking, ridiculously corrupt and also riddled with incompetence. Are they nefarious, devil-worshipping, laser eye-beamed fucking robot lizards from Zoofandabar? I doubt it. I mean, if they are, they're really resisting the urge to rip off their face and go, "Ah, we're here for all your gold," because that's what they do at the end of the movie. You can, no matter how you slice it, folks, if you're caught up in blaming everyone else but your own selected ideological tribe, odds are you've been manipulated. If you think those people over there don't have a soul, you're being ego hijacked. If you think, and because you know what, my criticism goes all the way around like one of those sprinkler heads that never does the go back, whack, 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 whack. It just keeps going all the way around. If you think you've achieved enlightenment and you're patting yourself on the back and judging all the sheeple for not being awake, guess what? You've been ego hijacked. If you think your favorite politician is a God-sent, virtuous saint of upright, moral, what's the word I'm looking for? Vicissitude? There's a funny word there that's part of a phrasing that, it's just not hitting right. Sorry. Error. File not found. But if you think my politician is saintly and their politician's the devil, you've been ego hijacked. If you are regurgitating neurolinguistic us versus them programming about whoever versus whoever, odds are someone's fucking with your ego. Because that's how it works. That's how they get away with what they get away with. That's how they profiteer on endless organized murder for profit, while pretending to worship a pacifist, entheogenic, transcendental mystic from the Middle East. Until next time, friends, I am your deliriously delightful, always too rambly, but humble and eccentrically worded host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. And here's a little electro-pop remix to play us out at the end of this episode. Slow burn to the end. DJ Zed on the Remix Live. As always, I thank you for tuning in, friends, and I humbly beg you to forgive me for my slightly saltier than average tude today. It's definitely rattled, annoyed, and frustrated after the endless onslaught of extra additional crazy level crazy. The world doesn't need to be this dumpster fire of madness. It really doesn't. We can be living in unity with reality, in harmony with nature, and in collaboration, peaceful collaboration with each other. If we just learn how to man up and do the one thing that every single genuine and authentic spiritual teacher ever taught us. Love one another, heal each other, and evolve. May peace, love, and grooviness blossom in your heart, folks. Thanks for enduring this onslaught of an episode. Until next time, peace out.